What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and in today's episode, we have to do our opening week awards. Today is the first episode of NBA Weekly of the 2022-2023 season, and it's only right after a short week of basketball that we have our overreactions to what's going on around the league. I will say this is probably one of my favorite parts of the season as an NBA fan. We just waited the whole offseason, had all of these expectations and predictions, and now we get to really overreact out of the gate. A lot of crazy topics and storylines to really attack early on in the year, which we will eventually get to. We got some surprises and some disappointments as far as teams go so far. But ultimately, let's dive into our opening week awards. Let's get it. So out of the gate, it's only right that we start with the most valuable player award. I'm so curious to see in the comments who y'all going to pick, but I think the guy that I have is going to be a common answer that we're going to see throughout the season, and that's Jayson Tatum. Jayson Tatum has the Celtics 3-0. He has almost 30 points in every single game that they played. 2 of the 3 games that they played is against some really, really tough competition, in my opinion, starting off with the Philadelphia 76ers. Then they went up against the Miami Heat. And then they had the Orlando Magic, who came to play a little bit better than I think people expected. And also in that game, Jaylen Brown didn't have his kind of performance that we had got used to seeing him in the first 2 games. So Jayson Tatum really had to shoulder the offensive load, especially down deep in that fourth quarter, to ultimately help them prevail. Jayson Tatum has been doing everything, though. He's been leading his team. Him and Jaylen Brown looking like one of the best duos in the league as far as scoring. They're just getting it done. Jayson Tatum is taking on a defensive challenge again. The Boston Celtics look like a prime defensive team, even without their head coach, Ime Udoka. I don't think they've missed a beat yet. Marcus Smart looks sharp. Al Horford has been doing his thing. Grant Williams is knocking down shots. Derek White is playing more confidently. Malcolm Brogdon is showing why he was a big acquisition. So I think the Boston Celtics can have another prime year of being another top team, except unlike last year, we're getting that from them from the start. We're not having to see them go through ups and downs and start off slow. I think a lot of people expected that with the whole coaching situation, but I think Jayson Tatum at 24, which another thing, it's so easy to forget that Jayson Tatum is only 24. Jayson Tatum plays like a 26 to 27-year-old, and I feel like he's been around the league for so long. We have to remember Jayson Tatum is only 24 years old. The Celtics have something special with this core group of guys that they have. And like I said, they're 3-0 without Robert Williams. We know that they lost Danilo Gallinari. They've had a lot of different things. Al Horford didn't play any other game, if I'm not mistaken. So the Boston Celtics are coming out. They're getting it done. They're playing as a team, but Jayson Tatum is leading the charge. And he even said in his post-game interview, for him, it's about putting his team in situation to win and compete for another championship and get over that hump. If he's doing that and they're having a success as a team, it's only right that he's going to be up for the MVP. And I think that's a great mindset. As long as the Celtics are in that conversation as being one of the best teams, it has to be because he's playing at a high level. So they just go hand in hand. But ultimately, I love the way that this dude is playing. He's taking on that challenge every single night as a defender. He's taking on that challenge as the main guy offensively, even like we said against the Magic. When you see Jaylen Brown not have that same type of scoring night, I still want to see the playmaking jump up even more, because I feel like in the playoffs, a lot of teams are going to do what the Warriors did, which was create a game plan around stopping Jayson Tatum and letting anyone else beat us. So I want to see that go up a little bit more. But we have 79 more games to play. But through the first 3, Jayson Tatum, to me, has stood out as the most valuable player. Next, Defensive Player of the Year. I got to go with a guy who's already won this award. He's won the MVP before. His team, the Milwaukee Bucks, are the only team in the league to have a defensive rating under 100. His personal defensive rating is around 89, one of the best in the league, and that's Giannis Antetokounmpo. When you look at the raw stats and the box score numbers, his teammate Brook Lopez stands out as well with 3.5 blocks a game, a steal a game. But for me, when I look at the overall impact, Giannis Antetokounmpo is really leading the charge for this Milwaukee Bucks team. I think if this team could keep up with this level of defense, they don't even have to be the best defensive team, but just this type of intensity, I think it's going to take them a long way. I have them personally coming out of the East, and they're already playing with a chip on their shoulder without Chris Middleton. But the way specifically in that game against Philadelphia that Brook Lopez and Giannis made Joel Embiid and the rest of those guys kind of look silly. Joel Embiid was, 6 of 21, I think 15 points. If that's the type of defense they're going to be able to play, it's hard to imagine that if they're healthy, anybody's going to be able to overcome the Milwaukee Bucks. With Jrue Holiday, Middleton, Giannis, Brook Lopez playing like this defensively. Bobby Portis and his energy. Shout out to Cuzzo, Javon, who's come out and been hungry on defense. We saw how he was getting into Jalen Green. The Milwaukee Bucks are lined up to have an amazing big year, and if Giannis can be the one leading the charge, especially without Chris Middleton, we potentially could see him do it again with MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. As of now, though, I have him leading the charge for Defensive Player of the Year with how this Milwaukee Bucks team is playing. This next award is the Sixth Man of the Year award. I think if this guy continues to play the way he's playing early on, we could see another six-man scenario where the award gets wrapped up extremely quickly, and that's Christian Wood out in Dallas. The stat is this guy has scored 50 points in 49 minutes played. He had a stretch against the Phoenix Suns. Unfortunately, they did lose and blow that lead. He had 16 consecutive points. For you to play with a guy like Luka Doncic and have a stretch in any game where you score 16 consecutive, that says a lot. So far, he's averaging, 25 and 10. He's shooting 50% from the field, 55% from the field, 50% from three. He's doing everything that they need him to do. He's rebounding, he's scoring, he's hitting perimeter shots. He's highlight players of Luka. He had the alley-oop against the Memphis Grizzlies the other night. I think this guy is going to fit in just right. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him be a Maverick for years to come because the fit with Luka is just so natural. I think I saw somebody the other day say Christian Wood is performing how they imagine Kristaps Porzingis would perform next to Luka. I love the way that they play. I think they're extremely deep. I think they're underrated, and I think a big portion of that is Christian Wood. And like I said, if he continues to play at this level and be this consistent, I think he is a guy who can have this award wrapped up before we even get to January. Christian Wood, Sixth Man of the Year. Next, we got Most Improved Player. This is a guy that I had predicted as my most improved player before the season starts, so it's no surprise that he's playing at this level, and that's Tyrese Halliburton. The guy is giving us 50, 40, 90. He's allowing his Pacer team to be extremely exciting while still not winning games so they can compete for that #1 overall pick and hopefully get Victor. He's been extremely exciting. I think he's giving them 2 steals a game as well. Double-double machine, 25 and 10 on any given night. If you look at some of the plays he's making, he's allowing everybody to get out into their spots. I love the effect he's had on Bennedict Mathurin. I think the open spaced offense is easier to run through with him at the helm. And I just love everything he's doing for this team. He's giving them the excitement that we haven't seen in Indiana for a few years. And if him and Bennedict Mathurin continue on this path that they've started, this could be a really exciting team with a bright, bright future. I am kind of concerned on what they're going to do with Miles Turner and Buddy Hield because, like I said, they've been in every single game competing at a high level, but I love the route of them being exciting, allowing that young talent to grow, but I also would love to see them compete for that #1 overall pick because if I look at them on paper and I say your 3 building blocks are Tyrese Halliburton, Bennedict Mathurin, and Victor Wembanyama, this Pacers team can quickly shoot up over the next few years into something extremely exciting but extremely dangerous for the rest of the teams around the league. So Tyrese Halliburton, no surprise here at all. MIP, I think he runs away with this award pretty easily. Shout out to Nick Richards, though. Nick Richards out there in Charlotte, I think, is averaging a double-double, like 15 and 10. To me, that's been extremely exciting. I didn't see that coming at all, but I still got to give the overall award to Tyrese Halliburton. The next award is the Coach of the Year award. This is an easy call. Will Hardy has the Utah Jazz playing like a team that I think no one has expected. We already have the Lakers at 0-3. We have Philly at 0-3. And by surprise that no one saw coming, we have the Utah Jazz as 3-0. If there was anybody out there who came to me with a bet that's like, hey, I bet the Philadelphia 76ers start 0-3 and I take the Jazz to go 3-0, I would have probably been willing to bet almost $1 million that wouldn't happen. So to see us be at this point, even though it's still a lot of basketball left to play, and of course at some point the Utah Jazz are going to want to take some L's so that they can take, advantage of all of those picks that they have. But that's the way that they play. They're extremely exciting. They open up the floor. They have shooters in Lauri Markkanen, Kelly Olynyk. Jordan Clarkson has the ultimate green light. They have a heady, strong point guard in Mike Conley. Colin Sexton's coming off that bench being exciting. They just pace the floor. They play with tempo, and they go out there with a chip on their shoulder with a mindset that's kind of nothing to lose. They're playing with house money, and we've seen them pull out some incredible, impressive games against the Nuggets, against the Timberwolves, and as of late, against the Pelicans. And they've all was able to pull them out, and I think this is a sign of how well Will Hardy can coach because, again, when you look at them on paper, Everybody in the world expected this team to have an 0-3 or 1-2 start. So to see them pull it out in close games, you have to give the nod to Will Hardy for opening week coach of the year. And then last but not least, this is a award that I went back and forth on who I wanted to give it to. Paolo came very, very close with his opening night being so monstrous. We haven't seen a stat line like that since LeBron James. It made me want to give it to him. But I had to switch gears and give it to Bennedict Mathurin. I mean, this dude is playing at a phenomenal rate. 24 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 52% from the field, 52% from 3. Just electrifying. I mean, big shot after big shot if you're watching the Pacer games. Like I said with Tyrese Halliburton, I love the way that they play. I think they complement each other. But Bennedict Mathurin is a spark that we haven't seen for Indiana since Victor Oladipo. He's giving me the Victor Oladipo vibes in Indiana. Athletic, willing shooter, capable shooter, attacks the rim. Defensively, he's always in the stands, ready to compete. And early on, the Pacers have trusted him to take and make big shots down the stretch. He has a green light in the fourth quarter with a couple minutes left in the game. If they're down 6, to just have a pull-up 3 in transition. And I think that type of confidence early on being put in him from the team and Rick Carlisle is only going to give him a brighter future. And I do think he can really challenge Paolo for this award if he's able to keep it up. Him, Keegan Murray, Paolo, Jaden Ivey, this rookie class has really came with it as far as hooping. Jabari, I know, has had a little bit of a slow start, but he showed his moments and flashes with his tough shot making. Shaedon Sharpe has shown some things. Everybody around the league so far in this class, besides a couple of guys, shout out to those OKC guys. They've done their thing. I think this rookie class is going to be super, super exciting. There we have it. Those are my opening week awards. Let me know in the comments what y'all agree with, what y'all don't agree with. I know that MVP award is going to be something that we're going to see a lot of different answers to. I really want to know y'all thoughts on the rookie of the year opening week, Bennedict Mathurin versus Paolo. Who y'all got in that one? That's a very, very close race. And let me know all the other awards or what you have for yours. We do have some incredible topics to get to in the next coming videos, some surprises, some disappointments, and some what ifs to talk about and discuss. This opening week has been major and one for the books for sure. I can't wait to talk about the rest of the stuff going on around the league. As always, I am Pee Wee the Plug. This is NBA Weekly. I'll see y'all next time. I'm out. Peace.